Thanks so much, Danielle. I think it's really rare that we can say good morning, good afternoon, and good night in the same webinar. That's really amazing, actually, that we've got such a wide variety of people from all over the world. And thanks for the lovely introduction. So as Danielle said, my name's Chris Cameron and I work in Deakin International based at the Burwood campus. And it's my pleasure to be here this evening. So just a little bit by way of introduction to Deakin, which a lot of you would already know this. Deakin is a young university established in the 1970s. It's known as an innovative university. We have a huge amount of experience with online and distance education, which is really relevant to today's COVID situation. So ordinarily, Deakin has 15,000 online students that study with us. So that's before COVID. So if we put that into context, the Deakin Cloud Campus is ordinarily Deakin's second largest campus, Burwood being our number one. But currently, we have over 60,000 students studying in the Deakin online cloud environment, which is absolutely amazing. Deakin itself is ranked number 8 in the world for online education, and we have a number 1 ranking in Australia for online education, which is amazing. So if you're recommending students to come and study at Deakin, you can have confidence to know that if we do have to do some online parts of their education, that they're studying with a really highly ranked university. Deakin is also ranked the number 1 public university in Australia for student experience, according to the Quilt survey. We are also ranked with the highest student satisfaction of any Victorian university and have been for the last 10 years in a row. Our IT and support ranking, again, really important in this COVID times. Our IT support service is the top ranked IT service desk in Australia. And we're also ranked number 1 for our Deakin Careers Service, Deakin Talent. So as you can see, Deakin is a really great institution and a great institution to study with. We have numerous key study areas, and Deakin is really lucky that we're in a position to be what we call a comprehensive university. So that means that you can have confidence to know that if you're looking for a specific course, the chances are that Deakin will have it. So just to name a few, and some of the popular ones currently are information technology, law, medicine, and engineering, and so forth. You can see there's a huge array of key study areas that we have there. We have, as I mentioned before, we're a young university, but we're an innovative university, and we are shooting up the rankings at the moment according to the Shanghai rankings, the QS rankings, and the Times Higher Education. So in 2012, our ranking was over 500, and now we're ranked in the top 200 to 300 universities for the Shanghai rankings. And for the QS rankings, we've gone from 400 to 450 to now being ranked 275 in the world. For the universities which are aged under 50 years of age, they're known as young universities. We are now ranked number 26 in the world according to QS rankings, and the Times Higher Education at number 55 in the world. And not to mention that, we have the highest student satisfaction in the state of Victoria for any university. So as I mentioned before, we are a comprehensive university and have a huge range of courses. Many of those are ranked within the top 100 for communications, media, finance, law, nursing, religious studies, sports. In fact, for sports science, we're ranked number 3 in the world and number 1 in Australia. We also have a top-ranked accounting faculty, which is ranked in the top 150, along with economics, energy science, and philosophy, and we're ranked in the top 250 for architecture, languages, medicine, public health, and sociology, but among the many other different courses there as well, which you can see. The Quilt ranking service, which is actually becoming a more widely recognized form of ranking, because the Quilt stands for Quality Indicators for Learning and Teaching, QUILT for short. is a government-run survey. And often when I'm talking to students, parents, and indeed agents, we're often referring to the Quilt survey more. The reason why that's a really important survey is it's kind of like a report card for the university. And because it's a government endorsed, it doesn't have any bias attached to it. So the ranking itself comes about by students ranking us, how they're going in their studies, what they think of the university, what they think of our facilities and services available, the support, the study support that they're getting, as well as really important that we're being ranked by our alumni. So students that have graduated from Deakin University, how they're going out in their job, how they're finding that their degree is helping them, are they having success in their careers? So for me, that's a really important and probably the most important ranking of all, because often when we look at the other ranking models, they can be very, very heavily research-based. So, and that might be, which is important, by the way, as well, but it might be that the ranking is coming out of publications that a professor might be researching and may not be having much exposure to teaching and learning of the actual students. Whereas the Quilt survey is actually a great method of students actually ranking us according to their experience of what they're having with Deakin. And a great way that you can compare universities is by the compareed.edu.au website, and that will list all of the universities that are undergoing the Quilt survey. So this is actually pulled straight out of the Quilt survey. And as you can see here, Deakin ranks in the top 5 universities for the most positive overall student experience. And I'll keep coming back to this, that we're ranked number 1 in the state of Victoria for student satisfaction. And the reason why we really strive for that student satisfaction level is because if a student is satisfied, we know that they're going to have superior education outcomes and do better in their career and better at Deakin University as a student. So as you can see here, Deakin University is ranked number 1 for the large public universities in Australia, which is really important. We have primarily 3 focuses. And we often, what we do is we call it future ready. And future ready is important because at the end of the day, the university needs to have a razor focus on things of how students are going to progress after they study at the university. So if one studies at Deakin University, what are they going to get out of it? How is Deakin helping them to achieve great things? So how we get our students future ready is 1, by student experiences. Number 2, we offer a premium digital engagement, which is evidenced by our number 1 ranking in Australia, and also employability. We know that university is an enabler to an end goal. You are studying with us at Deakin for a purpose. And at the end of the day, we need to ensure that you are the most equipped for the workforce and as employable as possible. So those are our 3 focuses: student experiences, premium digital engagement, and employability. In terms of our student experiences, they're broken up into 3 areas. 1 is academic. Of course, that's important. Making sure students have the support that they need to achieve academically. Social, to ensure that students are engaged in a community. We know that engaged students do better academically. And of course, having a health and safe environment for the student to learn in. So to meet that, being things like having 24-hour security guards, having apps and services available, medical clinics available on campus, any counselling and support services that might be required are available. In terms of our premium digital engagement, a lot of universities, I know in fact 5 universities that have come to Deakin to actually learn how to be more digitally engaged than what they already are. So if you like, Deakin is like a role model for other universities to be able to be connected into the cloud. So we put a lot of focus and effort into our cloud campus, and like I've said, usually there's over 15,000 students that study in our cloud campus, but currently we have over 60,000 students studying in our cloud campus. We also have very innovative technology that we invest into enable students to do better. So something like Deakin Genie, if you like, it's sort of like a Siri for university. So you can do things like ask Deakin Genie, when is my next assignment due? How do I get to the library? Or what classes do I have coming up? Or how do I access a particular service or get to a particular location within the university? A really great tool that Deakin has invested in and has commercialized as well. Employability, this comes down to our Deakin Talent Service, which is our graduate employment service, where Deakin is dedicated to making sure that our students are equipped to succeed in the workforce. And in fact, our Deakin Talent team is ranked #1 for university employment services. Not only are current students able to use the Deakin Talent Service for free, but if anyone has ever studied with Deakin before, they're entitled to use Deakin Talent for the life. So Deakin Talent will get students connected in terms of our DISC programs, which might be career service, freelancing, doing internships, and also getting students equipped with things like employment skills, how to make a resume, how to participate in an interview and put your best foot forward when it comes to employment. And most of all, which I guess that I am quite biased in terms of our location because I am from Melbourne and I have traveled the world quite a lot. But in terms of our location, um, we're located in the state of Victoria, where Melbourne is the capital city, and we have campuses in Melbourne, Geelong, and Warrnambool. And why this is important is because we understand that when you're studying university, you need to have access to a big market for things like jobs, employment, as well as access to all the cultural and social activities that come along with that. So by way of example, you can see on the map of Australia on the screen, that little triangular state is the state of Victoria. So Victoria state has a larger GDP than the whole of New Zealand, than Singapore, and also the UAE or Dubai. That means that it's quite a big economy, and it's known as a world leader for biomedical research. It's a finance hub for Australia. It's an information technology hub for Australia. And these are all incredibly important things, so that you know that when you're coming, you can, things like getting internships might be easier if you're in a larger city. Also, Deakin is able, because we have a multi-campus strategy, we're able to offer students a metropolitan campus experience, which is in the downtown, in the large city, or we can offer a regional campus experience or a rural campus experience. And some of those things are really important if you're looking at things like post-study work rights. For example, if you study in Melbourne, you're entitled to, if you meet the requirements, for a 2-year post-study work visa. If you study in Geelong, it's classed as a regional area, you might be entitled to 3 years post-study work visa. And if you're studying in a rural area like Warrnambool, you may be entitled up to 4 years of post-study work visa. And that post-study work is really important so that you can solidify your skills and gain experience in Australia working. Thanks, Danielle. So in terms of our campuses, as I alluded to before, usually our Melbourne Burwood campus is our largest campus. It's located in the Melbourne suburb of Burwood, which is in the eastern side of the city. And we have approximately 32,100 students that study with us at our Burwood campus ordinarily. We do a lot of teaching and research. We have advanced facilities such as the Deakin Motion Capture Labs, which is focused in our arts and education. We do a lot of filming, television, animation. We have a food sensory lab. We have exercise and sports science labs, nursing simulation facilities, and we also have things like a professional television studio which broadcasts out into the community. So all of these facilities are designed for our students to get hands-on experience and be future ready. Thanks, Dan. We have two campuses in the city of Geelong, and Geelong is the second largest city in the state of Victoria, and it's around about an hour and a half by train from downtown Melbourne to downtown Geelong. And our Geelong Warn Ponds campus it's Deakin's first campus. We have approximately 8,100 students studying there. We have huge grounds, over 325 hectares. It's also the home to our Deakin Medical School. So if a student's looking to study medicine, they would be studying at this campus. And it's a centre for our advanced research and engineering. So we have a lot of faculty engagement with industry at this, where industry actually sets up offices and research and development and collaborates with the university to do things like researching advanced battery designs or advanced materials. One of the professors that I know that works in the engineering faculty was researching how they can coat a special string with diamonds around it, and that just absolutely amazed me. And he works in the Institute of Frontier Materials. Thanks, Dan. Also in Geelong, we have our Geelong Waterfront campus, which is located in very historical 19th century buildings. And we have approximately 5,200 students that study at our waterfront campus. And this particular campus is set up around our arts design. We also have a moot law courts there, as well as occupational health and safety and study labs there as well. It's in a really picturesque, which is located right up against the Port Phillip Bay, which is a really accessible campus as well. And then, as I mentioned before, we have our rural campus, which is at Warrnambool, and it's located on a 94 hectare site right on the river. We have approximately 600 students that study there. It's in a really relaxed and friendly atmosphere. They're doing some really advanced research into hydrogen and those type of things, and they have advanced facilities to study aquaculture and advanced sonar for mapping the ocean floor, because it's located right on the Southern Ocean there, as well as many nursing simulation facilities. And I guess most importantly at the moment is the Deakin Cloud Campus, or the online campus. And generally we have 15 to 16,000 students that study in this campus. Currently we have 60,000, and this is where Deakin really shows off its innovative and sort of youth, in terms of we've actually been able to assist our students to progress to online so their studies aren't delayed, whereas some other universities have had some trouble doing that. This is where we are really in our element. It's our fastest growing campus. You have the freedom to study anywhere and at any time. It's a seamless student experience, and you have access to all the Deakin services and facilities. And most importantly, you get access to the same high quality education that any student at Deakin would. Talking about our online and cloud campus, we have a service which is every single student and every single staff member gets access to what we call Deakin Sync. And Deakin Sync is great because it puts all of our online services and facilities into the one location. So you can go and access your emails from Deakin Sync, you can log into the library from Deakin Sync, you can access your units from Deakin Sync, and you can get any study support or help or student mentors can all be accessed by Deakin Sync. You can find services, news, and stay up to date with things that are going on at Deakin or around you at Deakin. Really important to stay connected within the Deakin community. The Deakin Cloud Learning Environment is really absolutely a most amazing and immersive experience. So all of our units in terms of online include assessment, you access discussions. I actually was at the end of my degree, I finished my degree off as a cloud student, and that was really important to me. And I found it was quite a nice transition for me. I was working full-time at the time, and I needed to access and transition to online just to enable me to work full-time and study. And what I used to do was I would participate in the online discussions where there's a discussion board. I used to engage with my unit chairs. I was able to see live recordings of what classes were like. I was able to access online tutoring. I was also able to participate in the online quizzes and access the library 24/7, as well as access all of the journal articles that I needed to study. And the great thing, if there was anything that I wasn't sure about, I was actually able to rewind and re-listen to that particular part of the lecture. And still, if I had any problems, I was then able to send an instant message to my lecturer. And Deakin, I must say that their academic staff are incredibly responsive, and my experience was fantastic. I also know that Danielle studied some of her units online and had the same experience that I did. Thanks, Danielle. Really important, and I sort of keep coming back to this point that we're ranked #1 for student satisfaction, and that's because we actually put a large amount of effort to ensuring that our students succeed. So we have academic support. Every student gets a tailored orientation based on the course and areas of interest that they're doing. That's really important. So instead of having a one-size-fits-all approach to education, Deakin goes to the effort to make sure that it's tailored for the individual. We have CloudPass, which is our peer-assisted study sessions. We have study mentors, so students that have done really well or exceeded in the past then come back and are invited, if they would like to be a study mentor, which is a really rewarding thing to do. We also have access to Student Central. So if you're on campus, you can go into Student Central at any of our major buildings. And if you're a cloud campus, we have a virtual Student Central where you can get answers to anything that you might want. Personal support. On all of our Deakin campuses, we have medical facilities that are available. And if you use or as part of your overseas health insurance as a student, you can go in and access these facilities and not pay anything out of pocket. We also have free counselling and health coaching available. So those services are available to students, are 100% confidential, as well as 24-hour library assistance, which is a chat function where there's qualified librarians able to help you. So if you're like most students studying and you suddenly get the urge to finish that assignment off because you haven't left enough time at 2 a.m. in the morning, you can get in contact with one of the Deakin librarians and they'll assist you to get your research together. I haven't done that before. Another really important piece of Deakin is we have the Deakin University English Language Institute, which is called Julie for short. And this is a really important part of the Deakin experience because it is operated by Deakin on the Deakin campus. Any student that's involved in any or enrolled in any of our English language courses, you are a Deakin student. And that's really important because it gives you exposure to the wider campus. You can interact with other students to practice your English. We have a full comprehensive English programs from EAP 1 through to General English. We have a English for Nursing, as well as our study tour programs, which are available online. But we always encourage, if you have any queries regarding Julie, we're happy to help out at any time. We have many, many different options for on-campus accommodation, and it is to an incredibly high standard. I personally had a student in 2018 that came and I recommended that they stayed on campus, and they were a little bit backward and forward and were kind of unsure and didn't believe me of how good the quality of the on-campus accommodation was. But anyway, they took my advice and enrolled and took the on-campus accommodation option. And then 6 months later, their parent was visiting and they asked if they could catch up with me on campus. And the parent actually was staying at a separate hotel and said to me, it's to a better standard than the hotel they were staying in. And I think that that's really good. We always want our students to be in a safe, healthy, comfortable environment. So all of our campuses have an on-campus accommodation. They do fill up quite quickly. So we always encourage students to make sure that you put the application in. An indicative weekly cost for on-campus accommodation is between 285 to around 345 Australian dollars. That's if you would like to stay on campus. We always recommend students when they first come into Australia, or if they haven't studied overseas before, to start off in on-campus accommodation as your first stay. However, if it's not compulsory, and if you choose that you would like to do something else, you can do off-campus accommodation, and the hostels or guest houses or shared rentals, or your own private rental, or you could also do something like homestay. What's really important, we always recommend to students, is to make sure that you physically inspect a place before you sign any lease. And that's why it's also, we generally recommend initially on-campus accommodation is the best option, and then afterwards you can explore other options. This is a popular topic for everyone, and I get asked about scholarships all the time. So Deakin has a wide range of scholarships available. We have the Deakin Vice Chancellor scholarships, which range from 100% or 50% contributions towards your tuition fees. This has a minimum WAM requirement of 85%. So when I say WAM, WAM stands for weighted average mark. And if you have any concerns or queries about calculating a WAM for a student, we're always happy to help out. And all of our scholarships, if you apply for them, are issued on academic merit. So we also have our Deakin International scholarships, which offer 25% towards tuition fee. These require a weighted average mark of 65% or above. The other thing which I think is really important to mention is that most of these scholarships, if you receive them, they last for the duration of your course. And that's really important, because if we took someone in and gave them a 25% scholarship in their first year, they would still need to work out how they could fund the difference in potentially their second and third years. So in terms of the Deakin Scholarship proposition, it's actually quite generous. We have our Global Health Leaders Scholarship, which offers a 20% discount towards our Master's Health Suite. So that's, for example, the Master of Public Health, the Master of Health Economics. These also have a minimum required weighted average mark of 65%. And this is available globally. So students from any country, as long as they can meet the academic requirements and achieve the weighted average mark in their most previous study, would be eligible for a 20% fee reduction of each year of their master's program. If a student wanted to study in our rural campus at Warrnambool, we have scholarships which are up to 50% off on-campus accommodation. We also have our Warrnambool campus international bursary, which is 20% off tuition fees. Again, this is for every year of study. So someone enrolling in a Bachelor of Nursing or a Bachelor of Commerce, and if they get the Warrnambool International Bursary, they receive 20% off their tuition fees for every year that they study at Deakin. This is a small campus and it fills up very, very quickly because of this generous bursary. So if you have any students, I recommend getting their applications in very, very quickly and accept the offer so they can secure their space at the Warrnambool campus. The Masters of Business Administration Global Leaders Scholarship is up to 20% off your tuition fees. And again, this is a minimum WAM requirement of 65%. And we also have our Destination Australia Scholarship, which is a scholarship which is offered by the Australian federal government, so it partners with Deakin University. And there are some terms and conditions, but this is a really very, very generous scholarship. And for this year in 2020, students who received it were eligible for up to $15,000 off their tuition fee as a contribution from our federal government to encourage students to study in our rural areas. All of these do have terms and conditions attached, but feel free, if you have any questions, we're really happy to go through these in more detail. And our STEM scholarship is available for certain nationalities. And I say that because it's really important that the scholarship is issued based on the nationality according to the passport of the student. And it provides students with 20% off their tuition fees if they achieve a minimum WAM of 65%. And you must be a citizen of Cambodia, China, Hong Kong, Indonesia, Kenya, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, Philippines, Sri Lanka, or Vietnam. And the student must commence prior to trimester 3, 2021, but if they commence prior to that, they receive the scholarship of the entire duration of the course, even if it goes beyond that date. So, but the most important thing is that they have to have an offer and accept that offer prior to trimester 3, 2021. These scholarships are also available for students if they wanted to start in our online campus at the moment while borders are closed and participate in the Deakin University online to on-campus proposition. So all of these scholarships are available. You have to maintain good grades. You have to maintain a weighted average mark of 65% for the previous study period. But this STEM scholarship is basically from our science, engineering, and built environment. So to give you some examples of the courses in that particular program, it would be things like information technology, architecture, construction management, any of our sustainability sciences, any of the IT programs. So the newest and most popular one that we're experiencing at the moment is the Bachelor of Artificial Intelligence or Cybersecurity. So any of those programs which are in our CB faculty.